Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Now that there seems to be broad acceptance of this idea that the bottom is in after the most recent price crash from just the other day when Bitcoin got down to below $31,000, let's have a talk here. Like, what are reasonable XRP price targets? What should we reasonably expect? Well, it depends on what you believe is going to happen for the market, with the market as a whole, specifically with Bitcoin leading it. Are we going to have, as some believe, an extended market cycle beyond the typical 4-year structure? I'm not necessarily so convinced of that, but there are enough people talking about it, some of them rather notable. I'm willing to have an open discussion about it. I'm willing to be persuaded. I just have not yet been to that point. And even outside of that, what about this idea of Bitcoin getting up to like $200,000 or $300,000? Because some of the most respected chart analysts on the planet believe that is happening this market cycle, and not with some sort of extended. Well, not all of them. Not all of them would require some sort of extended bull run for that to happen. They're still saying, in terms of the timeline, this market cycle, not extended beyond the typical 4 years. Somewhere thereabout. Still seeing these huge upward movements, and so I listened to those arguments. I've also listened to arguments from other chart analysts I follow, like Magic, as well as the blockchain backer, and they both think that Bitcoin's going to hit its peak around like $70,000 or $80,000, and they've articulated the reasons why. In fact, the blockchain backer, he's got a ton of reasons, primarily from a technical analysis perspective, as to why he believes that will roughly be the top for Bitcoin. And then you got someone like Plan B, who has hundreds of thousands of followers, I believe, and he's calling for $288,000 Bitcoin based on the stock to flow model, and which interestingly though, has been rather precise to this point. And so I'm sitting there like, I don't know. I mean, blockchain backer does have a lot of compelling reasons. I don't know for sure what's going to happen. I guess right now I find the argument for a lower market cap for Bitcoin more persuasive, but I'm willing to have my mind changed. But before we go any further, I do want to be clear. I don't have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos as a fun hobby. And so take a look at this headline from the Daily Hodl. Should crypto traders brace for more misery? Analyst Benjamin Cowen tackles what's next after Bitcoin's big crash. Crypto analyst Benjamin Cowen is sharing his thoughts on the recent crypto market crash and addressing Bitcoin's path ahead. And then they go into cite Lowcat. It says, Cowen took to YouTube to address what this wild price swing means for Bitcoin. He says some of the most bullish predictions on where Bitcoin will end up this summer are fading. And here's a quote. And we're going to talk about what this means for XRP. Fear not, I got some numbers for you. But here's the quote. I would be more inclined to think that it's more likely that we spend a little bit more time going down before we come back up. If you think it's going to bounce and go up and put in a $200,000 Bitcoin within the next few months, you basically, at this point from where the price currently is, you need to see an immediate rebound. Otherwise, I don't think we can make it. But if we get that immediate rebound and we start moving back up, then maybe it's a possibility. Again, I'm just a little more pessimistic about it rebounding that quickly. And so a couple things here. Most analysts that I follow tend to think that we'll just be in consolidation for some period of time, whether it's weeks or months. They vary on opinion, but it's not something that's going to change overnight in all likelihood from what I've seen here. But if you're talking about that $200,000 price level, my gosh, think about what this means for Bitcoin, because last market cycle, Bitcoin got up to about $380 billion in terms of market cap, so at near $20,000 price per Bitcoin. And XRP's market cap was a little bit less than half of Bitcoin's at its peak, and got up to about $180 billion market cap at a little less than $4. So if Bitcoin ran up to $200,000, I mean, you'd be probably, I guess it would be close to $4 trillion, maybe a little bit less than that. And if XRP is going to be about half of that, if XRP's peak, this market cycle in terms of market cap, ends up being about half of what Bitcoin's will end up being this market cap, or this market cycle, and if Bitcoin actually hits $200,000, I mean, if it's $200,000, you're looking at a $50 XRP more or less. So, and that's the thing. Like, all of these numbers to anybody from the outside might think it sounds wacky, in a way it kind of is, but you got to understand that it doesn't mean that that much money is flowing in. It doesn't mean trillions of dollars are flowing specifically into one crypto asset. The price is getting bid up very quickly with very little money hitting it, because you get in this state of euphoria and people are FOMOing in, and each person's willing to pay more than the last. You get much higher market prices sooner than you might otherwise think. So in terms of, is there enough money on the planet to make that happen? Oh, there's way more money on the planet than would be needed to make that happen. Is there enough money in crypto to make that happen? Well, if the money flows into Bitcoin, then yeah, I could see that happening for XRP. Sure, why not? I'm not making that prediction that it will. I'm not convinced necessarily that Bitcoin is going to hit that level, but sure, if it does, why the hell can't XRP hit that level this market cycle? I don't see why not. And even if you're talking about Bitcoin at like 110,000, like say it got to like $110,000, somewhere around there, you'd still be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a $2 trillion market cap. So even if it just goes that high, I mean, you're looking at XRP, if it's going to be worth half of Bitcoin, you know, comparing the two peaks in terms of market cap, that would still put XRP at $25. And even if not that, what if blockchain backer's correct and you're talking about a peak for Bitcoin in the $70,000 to $80,000 range? Well, yeah, that's when that $10 to $13 price range that he keeps talking about actually makes a ton of sense, because in terms of market cap, that would look a lot like the last cycle actually. And so, you know, it just depends how high is Bitcoin going to go, and that's the $1 million question, right? That is what we're wondering here. Now, Plan B, a very popular chart analyst, he thinks we're going to be seeing high this market cycle. And I would not mind this. Mind you, I'm pro Bitcoin, I'm long Bitcoin, but still XRP is my favorite cryptocurrency, and it's my largest holding out of crypto. But I want this to be true. I am not yet convinced, but I'm willing to be persuaded. You guys will have to tell me, but check out this headline. From the Daily Huddle. Plan B doubles down on huge Bitcoin price prediction despite collapse below $40,000. Bitcoin tracker Plan B is sharing his thoughts on the asset's trajectory after Bitcoin dipped roughly $8,000 in the span of 1 hour this week, sinking to $30,414, according to CoinGecko. The S2F, that'd be stock to flow model, traditionally used to track the performance of commodities like precious metals, compares an asset's price to its available supply. So Plan B has amassed a strong following with the stunning accuracy of the stock to flow and the S2FX, which is a variation of stock to flow, which also takes into account gold and silver's performance to reach a price estimation for Bitcoin. And so let me pause right there. Now, I will acknowledge this. To this point, it's miraculous how much it's lined up, which again doesn't mean that I'm convinced that what he's saying is going to happen, but I can't outright 100% reject it, and I would love for it to be true. I would certainly love for it to be true. Anyway, the piece continues. In a new tweet, Plan B reiterates his view regarding where we are in the current bull cycle, asserting that Bitcoin is only a few months into its bull run. And here's the quote. Just to be clear, I do not think $60,000 was the top. Far from it. Because I do not see the kind of transactions that normally happen after an all-time high. In fact, I think we are just a couple of months out of the bear market. And yes, this on-chain view fits S2FX, which was the one that includes, how'd they word it here, performance having to do with gold and silver also. And so that part of that makes a ton of sense actually, and I think that it's pretty clear at this point the top's not in. Now that doesn't mean we're going to be seeing $300,000 Bitcoin necessarily, but I've been saying forever too, a key thing to look for, and this is me, I am not a chart analyst, mind you, but I don't think you need to be one to understand this. Previously, like so even just look at the last market cycle, when everything was over, like you had a ton of cryptocurrencies popping off, hitting just parabolic runs before Bitcoin hit its all-time high, like a ton more than what we've seen to this point, way more. But then also after that, you did see a whole bunch more pop off, and that doesn't look like what we had last market cycle. So that would surprise me if we actually already saw the high after we haven't seen that type of those transactions occur, which really is effectively what it seems to me like Plan B is citing here. And I think that's true regardless of whether or not you buy into this whole stock to flow model. Anyway, it continues here though. Check this out. The analyst issues his reminder as he senses traders and investors are losing sight of Bitcoin's long-term trajectory amid concerns over Bitcoin's energy consumption, propagated most recently by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. And here's a quote: "I also see a lot of people ignoring the 4-year halving cycle and being distracted by energy FUD, or better, faster, cheaper altcoins." Yeah, so I will agree with him on this. The fundamentals don't matter today, and not for speculators. They matter to me, maybe they do to you, but they don't to speculators. And you're always going to have narratives that are attributed to the price action of the buying and selling of all of this. But really, the truth is, yeah, it'll impact some people, and maybe they can be catalysts for setting something off. But a lot of times, like with what you saw most recently anyway, yes, a lot of it's attributed to Elon Musk or this or that, but the charts were saying that we were going to see these big moves anyway, right? And so I don't necessarily, like, even if that was the straw that broke the camel's back and you can line those things up perfectly, which sometimes you can, like I admit, even with what Elon Musk said versus when the market reacted, which was immediately, I acknowledge that. I'm just saying that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but let's not pretend that all the things that were preceding that were visible in the charts didn't matter or have an impact to some degree. I don't think that makes sense. But anyway, here's what they write. Ultimately, Plan B's stock-to-flow model shows Bitcoin reaching $100,000, and his stock-to-flow model has Bitcoin jumping past $288,000 before the next bear market hits. So again, I'm not saying I'm convinced of that, but if that actually happens, if you're talking about upwards of $300,000 Bitcoin, what's that make XRP, like 60 or 70 bucks or something stupid like that? Wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't mind seeing. And mind you, that's if XRP's market cap ends up being for this peak ends up peaking at half of what Bitcoin's peak would be. We're just asking for half, and you're still talking about, like, depending on what price level we're talking about, $50, $60, $70 XRP. And so, if we end up having a much lower top for Bitcoin, which to me seems like there's a compelling case for that, yeah, I mean, still $10 to $13 XRP. I'm not going to be crying over that if that's all we get to, like, all we get. Yeah, I'll take that. Because several months ago, XRP was 17 cents. Yes, I will take $10 to $13. I would absolutely take that, just to be clear. And even if that's the case, it doesn't mean that XRP wouldn't run substantially higher in a subsequent market cycle anyway. And in fact, that's why once we do enter bear territory again, frankly, I am going to be accumulating. Like, I'll keep running this channel, and I understand that viewership of my channel, and not just mine, but every crypto YouTube channel, it's going to drop precipitously. I'm still going to be here because my interest isn't going to be away, and I'll tell you right now, I think the best time to pay attention is when nobody else is. I really mean that, because that's when you should do your planning. That's when cryptocurrencies are going to be cheap, when it's too scary to buy them, and they don't have the validation of the crowd anymore. Like, that's the time, in my opinion. I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything, but that is my humble opinion. So I'm going to be paying attention closely, because the herd gets everything wrong. Okay, pretty much here. I shared this quote from Warren Buffett, along with a little screen grab. If you care to look at your screen right now, it's not required. Don't worry if you're, like, getting your swell on at the gym. You don't gotta look. I'll describe what's on the screen. But anyway, here's a quote from Warren Buffett: "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." Now, the reason Warren Buffett said that is because the masses get it wrong. And so if you look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, which is on here, you can see it was at 11 out of 100, indicating extreme fear. I couldn't even tell you the last time it was that low. And just think, within the last month or so, it was at like 73. Think about that. And so that's when there were all these indications, and I've been talking about on this channel too before things dropped. I was warning what chart analysts were saying. Hey, just so you know, might be seeing some downward price action. I even said, look, even if the chart analysts are wrong and it doesn't happen in the very near term, it still has to happen at some point. So I was still a warning, just even if that were the case. But it did happen. Like, it actually happened within the time frame that many of them were saying it would likely happen. And so I wasn't caught off guard by it happening. Now, none of us knew exactly how low it would dip or when exactly it would happen, but still, just the fact that something like this occurred, yeah, I certainly expected that to happen. So, here's the thing. With all of this fear here right now, is this a good time to buy or a bad time? Well, as long as we're not at the top of the cycle, typically buying when there's extreme fear is a good thing. The data shows us that. That's not just some moon Lambo opinion. that's what the data would indicate. And I think that, well, I know that's true also with the stock market as well. When there's extreme fear, that's when you purchase. That's why Warren Buffett said that. And so I personally believe that we're going to see this market continue to move to the upside, even if we consolidate for X number of months. Fine, if that happens. But we're going to see substantially higher prices this market cycle still. So I'm still excited about all of this. As I keep saying, that the best is yet to come for XRP holders. It certainly is. And I really hope we have a super duper high Bitcoin price. There are all sorts of very respected analysts that also think you'll just see in the low $100,000 range for Bitcoin, and that would be fantastic too. You know, the higher it goes, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. So that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.